welcome in Vikings fans to a brief discussion about the current state of the Vikings offensive line 3 weeks into free agency this offseason. And I feel like that this video was sort of necessary to make because I wanted to refine my takes regarding the offensive line that we've had much discussion about after the Dakota Dozier signing, which was a couple of days ago. I don't want to just rant and rave about Dakota Dozier. I'd rather sort of give the big picture here and what I'm thinking going forward, because there's been some discussion both in my comment section, which is great, love it, absolutely fantastic, keep those coming, and the Vikings community as a whole about the Dakota Dozier signing, what this means for the offensive line. Is this negligence, or the counter argument to what we've been saying here for the past couple of days / weeks is that the offense was really good last year and we don't really need to be that concerned with it, which seems to be what Mike Zimmer's take was at his press conference yesterday. I, on the other hand, have my doubts, and I am a little concerned, and I want to sort of refine that discussion and sort of, get it out in the open. So behind me on the board is what I feel like is the best potential mix and matching of offensive linemen that could create the opening day offensive line in terms of starters. So you have Brian O'Neill moving to left tackle. Dakota Dozier takes back over at left guard, Garrett Bradbury stays at center, Ezra Cleveland at the right guard position, and Rashad Hill at right tackle. Now, this, of course, isn't the finalized depth chart. There's definitely going to be some more movement in the coming weeks. We could get more free agents. We could get no more free agents and just depend on the draft. And then, of course, it is also possible that some of these players get cut by the time the season starts, because they will have to trim the roster down to 53. And I think we usually go into the beginning of OTAs and training camps with about 90 players. So nothing is set in stone. Let's just put it that way. And then for the second team, it's not really an order of who I think is good. It's just a list of backups at their respective positions. Blake Brandell obviously probably isn't the de facto backup behind Rashad Hill at the right tackle position. Oli Udoh would definitely take over for whichever guy goes down. Kyle Hinton and Drew Samia are your backup guards, and Mason Cole figures to be the backup center. And when it comes to backup centers, we know from the Brett Jones experience that they don't like to do anything else but just be backup centers. So I doubt we see him play guard at all unless they decide to surprise me. So first, starting with Dakota Dozier, no problem with him as a player. My problem is with management, because it is clear as day that they are just throwing spare parts and hoping something sticks when it comes to the offensive line once again. And as a fan, that's frustrating. I understand that this offense was ranked 6th in all of the NFL last year. I understand that we scored a lot of points. I understand that we had, a prime candidate to win Offensive Rookie of the Year in Justin Jefferson. Dalvin Cook's really good. Guys, the offensive line is still a problem. And just because you have the 6th, 7th total offense in the league doesn't mean that you can't improve it. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't throw assets at it and resources. You should do whatever you can to make the weakest positional group on your offense better. And you see it all over the league, right? If you have a wide receiver group that is clearly not up to snuff, they're going to address that. You're going to bring in a Kenny Golladay. You're going to go and spend a first-round pick on Jamar Chase. It's nothing that hasn't been done before. To go with the offensive line, because Mike Zimmer, for whatever reason, feels like the defense is the most important, the offense can just figure itself out, is negligent at best. And it's just not good coaching philosophy. That is coaching philosophy that it should have been left in the 90s. Kirk Cousins stands, I think that you'll be on my side when it comes to this, because for anybody that's watched my content for any extended period of time, you know how I feel about Kirk Cousins. There's several videos up on my channel from last season. If you go to the 2020 season playlist, I have some very not nice things to say about Kirk Cousins. I don't want to get into that discussion, but I think Kirk Cousins stands who believe that he is our savior would agree with me that this just isn't good enough. You are basically throwing an offensive line out there this season that is worse than what we had last season, because of the absence of Riley Reiff and because you're moving an established right tackle to the left tackle position, and we don't know how he's going to handle that. A lot of people mentioned that Ezra Cleveland is part of the tackle discussion and he could move to left tackle. Well, we haven't seen that yet. Ezra Cleveland playing left tackle is a relative unknown at this level right now. We know that he played pretty good at guard, and maybe that's where he stays. Maybe after a full off season with regular OTAs and non-canceled preseason, maybe he refines his skill set and is able to take over full time at right guard and does just well. That's all a possibility. Rashad Hill is probably not good enough to be a full-time starter at the left tackle position. So really, you're pigeonholed into Brian O'Neill. Dakota Dozier, as of this moment, he's better than Drew Samia, I guess. So he would have to be left guard. Bradbury's obviously not going to change positions. Mike Zimmer opened up the conversation about replacing Riley Reif, mentioning Ezra Cleveland, but he also said right now he's a guard, even though that could change. So I think they have no intention of moving him from right guard. They like him there. And then Rashad Hill or Brian O'Neill at right tackle, we've already had that discussion. In my opinion, it's just not good enough. And the thing that scares me the most is if you remember back to the beginning of last season, when we had Riley Reif on the roster and they gave him the ultimatum, you either take a pay cut or we're going to send you on your way. And that would have been the worst time for him to do that because it was 1 week or less than 1 week before the regular season started. Imagine being a free agent looking for a team and a job when there's only 5 days to get ready. That's just the worst imaginable spot that they could have put him in. So that's why he agreed to take the pay cut, I think, begrudgingly. And then that was despite the act of good faith at the end of last season where they gave him the $1 million bonus for having missed the game week 17. That ship had sailed. They had already burned that bridge, and that's why he left. So they were prepared last year to go into a season where Kirk Cousins has not had a fair shake when it comes to pass protection since he's got to Minnesota. And they were prepared to just wing it at left tackle, which is the most important spot on the offensive line because that is Kirk's blind side. As of right now, I know I have this filled up here on the chart, but I personally do not believe Dakota Dozier will be the starting left guard for the Vikings come week 1. I don't know who is going to start left tackle. And having said all that means that we currently don't know what the status is of the left side of the offensive line. All we can do is speculate. We can speculate all we want, but we just don't know. And all of the options that we have aren't great. If we had Riley Reif coming back, I would be a little less concerned, but we don't. I don't know how Brian O'Neill is going to do at left tackle. I don't know how Ezra Cleveland would do at left tackle. I don't know how Rashad Hill would handle full-time left tackle duties. We just don't know. There's too much unknown. And going into a season with a relatively unknown left side of your offensive line, and we have Kirk Cousins, who we know needs good pass protection to be successful, or at least the Kirk Cousins stance tell me that if the offensive line was better, he would be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I wish we could do that. I really do. I wish that would happen. But I have concerns, and the fact that Mike Zimmer feels like that he is not pigeonholed into taking a specific position going into the NFL draft is a little scary. I know we did talk that whole conversation about coach speak and lying to the public because they don't get in trouble for it. What are they going to do? But really, if we go forward into the NFL draft and this is still the best potential combination of pieces that we can put together on the offensive line, and they don't spend a first-round pick on an offensive lineman, I think we're in trouble. I really do. So that is my refined take. That is the broader idea that I'm trying to grasp here as far as the offensive line goes, because I just don't believe that what we have right now is good enough. And the scary thing is that this would be their undoing, in my opinion, because, yeah, the offense was 6th overall last year. But here's the thing. Last year means nothing. What we did last year, that 7-9 record, that piss poor defense, that really, really good offense, that means nothing for the season. The offense could regress. It could get worse because of the offensive line. It could get worse because of injuries. There's tons of things that could happen. But going into the draft, at least, because that is this month now, we're in April, happy opening day for baseball, is very concerning when we haven't addressed one of the most critical parts of the offense. And that is where I'm going to leave it. Thank you very much for watching the video. Have a good day.